Alright, it's midnight, and in this video, I'm feeling particularly called to talk about the concept of controlling the future. So, this is how you can control the future. Wait, before I even say that, you can control the future. Controlling the future is possible, just not how you think. It's not possible in the sense that you can think about something and then it just happens. No, it's kind of like that, but not really. It's a much more realistic approach. So, a couple years ago, I'm 19 now, but when I was 17, there was something there was like a kind of like a mantra that I came up with. And it helps me when it came to dealing with things that were coming up and just like events. And something I would always say is, if today is good and tomorrow is good, then the future will always be good. Now, this video is likely going to come out before I do the debrief on 3 Rings of Trajectory, but this video is going to be within that category. So if you want to control the future, you absolutely can. I want you to think about math for a second. It doesn't matter what level of math you're at. At some point, you've likely seen the function like f of x. Let me see if I can actually grab a whiteboard. I need some water too. So, like I was saying, you have the function f of x. I'm going to be using f of x a lot, especially within the category of 3 Rings of Trajectory. But you have f of x. You've seen this before. It's a function, and you plug in some input, and you get some output. So let's say I plug in f of like 0, and then that just says 1 or whatever, and then I do f of 1, I get 2, and so on. Like I just plug in some values and I get some output. This thing right here, this represents life. In life, you put some output in and you get some output. Now, you can't really control the specific output for the given input, but you can learn what inputs get what outputs. So that's the idea here. So essentially what I'm just saying is, in life, you have choices. You can make choices, and you can control the future through these choices. If you make the choice to go to the gym consistently, then the only logical consequence is you will tone down and you will get fit. You will build muscle. That's the only logical consequence of consistently going to the gym. If you complain about how every day is bad and how every day you have all these problems, then the only output is you're just going to be miserable. It's just the logical conclusion. You had f of x, you plugged in complaining, and then the output was misery. So when I was 17, I said, if today is good and tomorrow is good, then the future will always be good. And this was something I came up with a long time ago, before I ever came up with 3 Rings of Trajectory. The video likely will not be out by the time you're seeing this video, but it will be coming out later, so definitely stay tuned for that. And if it is already out somehow, then go watch that and then come back to here, because it would make a bit more sense. So a lot of times when people think about time, how they want to get things out of life, they immediately think about the big idea, the big end goal. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they just think about that, and then they compare that to what they have now. And they don't necessarily, they're not really good at building a nice bridge from here to there. And a lot of times that creates anxiety, and that creates a lot of frustration and things like that, because it's like nothing's guaranteed for some arbitrary time into the future. And the idea behind that saying that I made when I was 17 was that stop focusing too far into the future. It's too unreliable. Now, I know I just said you can control the future, but it's just, again, it's not in the same sense that you would think. You can't control any future and have any outcome, but you do have power in deciding what happens in the future. So the idea that my saying was getting at is, take your focus away from what's far down the line. Take your focus away from, like, let's say you're going down a tunnel, and it's like you're looking all the way down the tunnel, but it's like there's like rocks and like it's bumpy, you gotta watch your feet. But you keep looking at the end of the tunnel, you're gonna trip up where you are now, and you're gonna say, how am I ever gonna get to the end of the tunnel? And the idea is really just to take your focus away from what's going on in the far future and just put it back into something more tangible, something more controllable, which is what's happening now. Because if every day for 5 years straight, so for 5 years, if every day you worry about that day and then the subsequent day, for every day, then you are essentially building a bridge towards that long-term future that you want. And in Three Rings of Trajectory, this is called the long-term goal. That is called your destination. That is not something that is in your control at all. And then when I shift the frame of thinking from the destination itself to something more local, aka today and tomorrow, that is called your instantaneous trajectory. So it's really about just taking your focus away from what's far off into the future. There's too many things that will take place. The further you think into the future about a particular outcome, the more unlikely it is to happen. Like, for example, if I were to think like 20 years down the line, I'm going to be in California, I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm going to have like a huge circle and stuff like that. The probability of that just happening is just basically zero. But now if I were to talk about me right now, like I say, in the next 10 seconds, I will be recording this video. The probability of that happening is not 100%, because I could die any moment or something can happen. But it is much, much, much more probable. It's like basically guaranteed that I will be recording this video in the next 10 seconds than for that 20-year prediction that I just made up on the spot. So the idea is to bring your focus towards the things that work with you, which is today and tomorrow, just nearby time. So if you focus on what you do today and you focus on what you do tomorrow, for every day that you exist, you can move towards anything you want. And that's how you can control the future. I like using gym examples because they're simple, but really I invite you to apply this to anything you have in your life. If you want to get to that thing, think about how you can take steps to get there today and tomorrow. Or let's say you're obese and you want to lose weight, you want to get slim. Well, you don't just get slim overnight. You can't hope for it. You can't just expect it to happen one day. You can't just hope for your metabolism to suddenly speed up and then you start burning all that fat. No, that's not good enough. But you focus on what you can control. And what you can control is what you do in your day-to-day. So if you get up and say, I'm going to walk like 50,000 steps today, or I'm going to just go to the gym for 30 minutes, that is a small action that, once consistent, the mathematical result of that f of x is life is saying go to the gym, basically work out, lose weight. Input, work out, output, lose weight. If you want social skills, input, talk to people, output, get better at talking to people. It's a really simple system. So it's less about trying to make the system what you want, but rather getting the system to work for you. And that is exactly how you control the future. You can't control what will happen in a year, but you can control what you will do now and what you intend to do tomorrow and the day after that, and so on. Once you extend that thinking into the future, it becomes like a telescope. If I start a habit now, let's say every single day let's say it's like something simple, right? Every single day I were to learn a new word. Every single day. After one day, I know a new word, I'm probably not using it that much and I'm not thinking about it that much. But let's say 100 days, that's 100 words. And after a certain point, one of those words I will be almost guaranteed to be using. And then I will achieve the goal of expanding my vocabulary. So you set the goal and you just focus on small actions that you can take to move there. And a key to it all is being consistent in those actions. And that's the hardest thing in the world to do for a human, is to stay consistent at anything that isn't already part of you. For example, everyone gets up, you brush your teeth, or like you get up and you check your phone. That's consistent. It's consistent because it's become part of your identity. It's become part of your natural way of being. And when you're doing something new, those new things aren't yet part of your identity. They aren't part of your being. But once you do them long enough, once you build that habit, it just becomes something you do. A lot of people don't make their bed every day. Me, I started making my bed every day when I was 16. And it was just a switch. And then now I don't even think about it every day. But I always get to look at my bed and see a nicely made bed. It's right over there. If I were to give you some takeaways, the takeaways are: 1, stop focusing on what's far in the future and focus more on what you can do now to move yourself towards those results. And 2, work on being consistent, being able to do those things consistently every day, so that at the end of a certain period of time, you get yourself to that position. Because at that point, nothing is 100% guaranteed. But if there are two people, one person just hopes for everything. They think about things 10 years from now, and they just hope that things will just go down that route naturally. versus another person who they know what they want, they know the end goal, they thought about it, but they don't dwell on it, and they just dwell more on what they do today and what they're going to do tomorrow. Then after that certain period of time, the second person is going to be far more ahead and have a lot more done and be closer to achieving that outcome than the other person. So that's the second takeaway. This might be the third video in the vault, most likely will be. Now that I recorded this, I can go to sleep happily. Yeah, if you like this video, definitely leave a like, comment, subscribe, give me some feedback, and I will see you elsewhere in the vault. Goodbye.